Hi, hello. It's Josh Bow for Pod Maverick. As you can tell, if you're watching live, listening live, or watching on our YouTube feed, I am alone. Usually, when I'm the first one to talk, that's usually also a good indicator. Um, no Kirk tonight, as you guys know, he's still recovering. He had a car accident on Saturday, but he's doing well. No rest for the weary. It looks like he's got a pretty nasty virus that's going through his house as well. So he needs to rest up. He needs to take an extended leave here just to get him feeling better. I don't want him doing podcasts when he's feeling sick and trying to recover from everything he's got going on. So it's just me. And to be honest, up until about the third or the fourth quarter, whenever it happened, I was ready to come here and talk for 25, maybe 30 minutes as best I could by myself about this game, talk about the game, and do my best to talk about what was on the floor. But after what the Mavericks organization did tonight, I just kind of want to say my piece about how the organization is acting right now and then kind of get out of Dodge. For those that don't know, the Mavericks, since they've traded for Luca, they've only played or since they traded Luca away to the Los Angeles Lakers last week. They've only played two home games: Saturday against the Rockets, Anthony Davis's debut, and then Monday night tonight against the Sacramento Kings. In those two home games, they have not allowed any types of signs or jersey modifications in the building that would show any displeasure or dissent towards general manager Nico Harrison or the Mavericks organization. Obviously, vulgarity and stuff like that is pretty understandable, but they weren't even letting in Fire Nico signs. They weren't even letting in people like duct taping over Luca's name on their jersey. They weren't even letting people, wear Fire Nico shirts, like stuff that is relatively harmless in the grand scheme of things. They weren't even letting that stuff in. They were also weren't they were not showing fans on the jumbotron. Um, and that continued into this game. They weren't allowing any type of signage, negative signage, or gear. They were not showing fans on the jumbotron. They did show. They finally did a karaoke segment on the jumbotron, and one fan mouthed "Fire Nico," and of course the camera immediately pans out and tries to switch to someone else. That same fan then somehow, I think he snuck in a sign, poster board sign that said "Fire Nico." It was two signs. One said "Fire," the other one said "Nico." Held it up during the fourth quarter, I think. And not only did that fan get his sign confiscated, he was ejected from the game, as best as I can tell. I don't know if he was actually ejected from the building, but he was removed from his seat. And I just I think it's frustrating because obviously fans are going to be emotional about this for a variety of reasons that we've talked about. But I don't know if the Mavericks have heard of the Streisand effect. I don't. Does someone need to send them the Wikipedia article on it? I've got time. I could do it. Do they not understand that doing this kind of stuff is making it harder for the fan base to move on and to accept things? Um, because you're just pissing people off, and I don't understand the end game here. The Mavericks as an organization need to grow a spine and stop being so fucking cowardice over this from a decision that the organization made. Now, granted, the ushers and the game operations people that are enforced, I doubt it's coming. This is coming from the top down. This is absolutely coming from either Nico or the ownership that's saying, "Hey, game ops people, don't show people on the jumbotron. Remove all the posters. Remove the signs." Because I doubt ushers really want to spend time doing this, by the way. So don't blame the arena workers that are being told to do this kind of stuff. It's obviously coming from the top down. But you do not make this situation better by antagonizing your fans. You made the decision to trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Luka did not ask out. Your hands were not tied. You made this decision. Nico Harrison, ownership, Mavericks leadership, however that is. They made that decision. Live with it. Own it. If you don't want to, then why the hell did you make the trade in the first place? Clearly, you believe that this would make your team and your organization better, but you're hiding behind it like a bunch of cowards, like you got forced by gunpoint to send Luka to the Lakers. And it's annoying. In the grand scheme of things, this stuff doesn't matter, but this is annoying. And I want to move on from this. I want to stop talking about it. I don't want to tell fans to not stop talking about it. Fans can be as mad about this as long as you want. I want to make that perfectly clear. I want to stop talking about it because I like talking about the basketball. I understand why some fans want to keep talking about it, and they should. They should talk about it as long as they want. It's well within their right. But for me, for doing this job that I have, and I gotta cover every single one of these damn games, and I gotta get on a camera, get on a microphone. I gotta talk about it. It's not that hard work. Don't misunderstand that. But when you work a job 9 to 5 during the day, and then you got to come on, you got to watch the game, and then I got to do this. I want to do the part that I enjoy, which is talking about the game, talking about what's happening on the floor, talking about the basketball. And I can't because the Mavericks don't want to let this go. I can't because they want to keep antagonizing their fan base and making things worse. Take it on the chin for a couple of weeks. It's going to suck. Yeah, your ego's going to get a little bruised. You're going to see some signs. You're going to see some fire. You're going to see some stuff that's not nice. You're going to get some boos. You're going to get some chants. Let the fans get it out of their system. Because here's the thing. While most of the fan base is not going to get over what you did, trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers when Luka did not want to ask out, did not want to leave. They're not going to get over this for a very long time. But what's going to happen, and I guarantee this is going to happen, is that the in-arena experience will be fine after a little bit. This will not continue for weeks and weeks and weeks or months or years. Because basketball is a luxury. Trust me, buying basketball tickets right now, that's not even something I can do right now. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people right now, when they're looking at their budgets, basketball tickets does not fit into it, considering how expensive everything else is in the world right now. So the people that are buying tickets to go to a basketball game, the majority of them going to a Mavericks game, they want to just go to the game, watch basketball, have a good time. That's it. Because people are not going to throw away their hard-earned money when things are so expensive as they are right now to go to a game and then protest it. Some people are, absolutely. This fan that brought in those signs, people are going to do it. But you could fit 20,000 people in the arena. I guarantee you the majority of them just want to go there and watch basketball and have a good time. As hurt and as heartbroken as the fan base is right now, I guarantee you the people that are paying for tickets just want to watch the game. And instead, you keep doing these Bush League coward moments. You're kicking out fans for holding up signs with no vulgarity on them, by the way. Fire Nico. Oh, who gives a shit? It's like the most innocent criticism you can have as a professional general manager of a pro sports team. And you can't even handle that. And all you're going to do is you're going to piss off the fans. And that's what we're talking about now. That's all everyone wants to talk about on Twitter. That's all anything wants to talk about me when in my mentions. And now I have to talk about this. And it sucks. And I hate it. And if the Mavericks could just grow a pair for 2 or 3 weeks, I guarantee you the amount of Fire Nico signs, the amount of Fire Nico t-shirts would dissipate. I guarantee you that would happen because most people are going to spend their money and have a good time at the game. Are you seeing what's happened at the games, by the way? Saturday and tonight, the fans were cheering the team. The only boos were for the bozo owner that decided to show up at midcourt. Good for him for finally showing up. Those were the only real boos I heard this game was for him. Cheering on the players, standing ovations every time the Mavericks made a run. And you know what is pissing me off even more about this is I have to talk about this, and the Mavericks are bringing it upon themselves. Is that this Mavericks team is fighting their ass off right now. They have not given up on their season. They have gone through about as much adversity as a pro team can go through in terms of injuries and this trade, and they are still playing as hard as they can. They lost this game by 1 point in overtime to the Kings, and it sucks. And yeah, I would love to talk to you about all the things that the Mavericks could have done to win this game. But at the end of the day, they were missing 4 of their best 5 players. Daniel Gafford gets hurt 10 minutes into the game, playing 10 minutes. It's sometime in the second quarter. You're down Daniel Gafford. You're down PJ Washington. You're down Derek Lively. You're down Anthony Davis. 4 of your 5 best players, 3 starters, 4 your 4 best defenders, by the way. You're going against a team with the offensive firepower that the Kings have. They're not juggernauts. They're 27 and 26 right now, but they still have Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis. Now they have Jonas Valanciunas at the trade deadline. Keegan Murray can hit threes. That's a good offensive team, and that they should have spanked the Mavericks by 20 points tonight. I'm dead serious. I got some people, I'd mentioned this on Twitter about, the Mavericks played hard and they, it's a miracle they kept it close. And some Mavs fans are like, oh, well, Mavericks should have made their fruit. They should have won this game. They controlled it. And it's like, guys, Mavericks were playing Omax Prosper and Kessler Edwards at center for most of this game. Like, get a grip. You should have seen some of the lineups that the Mavericks were playing tonight, and they were competitive against the Western Conference playoff team. They almost won the game. They should have won the game. But I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this team. Because say what you will about Jason Kidd, and I can say a lot. The one thing I can't knock him on is that his teams are playing hard and they're playing for him. Even in the 2023 season when the Mavericks did not make the playoffs, and that was an embarrassment and a blight against the franchise, that they had a team with Luka Doncic, missed the playoffs, finished 11th in the Western Conference. That was an embarrassing result. Even when they were losing all those games down the stretch in March, they never got blown out. They had a couple of bad losses to the Hornets, but every game was a clutch game in the final 5 minutes that came down to the wire. They lost an overtime game. They lost a close game, I remember, to Miami. They lost an overtime game to the Hawks. One of the Hornets' losses was a clutch game as well. Like, they never rolled over and gave up. They played hard. They kept almost every game, but the 2023 Mavericks was a competitive game. That team rarely got blown out. They still played for Kidd. Kidd did not lose the locker room. He still obviously hasn't lost the locker room, because when you get that much adversity, you would expect a team to fold, to crack, to break. And instead of talking about that and how impressive that is despite the loss, I got to talk about the Mavericks organization acting like dumbasses and antagonizing the fan base and making things worse. And it sucks. I want to talk about the basketball. And I know, as a content creator and as a voice in the community, for the Mavericks community, I can ignore it and talk about this stuff, but I can't ignore it, because that's all the fans are talking. Like, I have to be a voice of the fan base as well. This is what they want to talk about. So that's what we're going to talk about. I can't ignore it because it's not right. And it's stupid and I hate it. And now I'm going to probably cut this podcast short because I don't really want to talk about the game now, because I'm pissed off. And it's not fun. And it sucks, Again, this was a really fun game. Mavericks scored 36 points off of 21 Kings turnovers. They had 11 steals after they had 18 blocks Saturday against the Rockets. Kyrie Irving was heroic. I mean, seriously. Dude played 44 minutes, scored 30 points, basically put the team on his back, had 3 steals, had almost the decisive steal and game-winning layup, or maybe it was game tying. I can't remember, toward the fourth quarter. That sequence was great. Klay Thompson finally hits a clutch 3. Omax Prosper played 34 minutes at center, scores 16 points somehow, even if he got his ass whipped on the boards and on defense a little bit. Who cares? Spencer Dinwiddie scored 20 points. Played some god-awful defense, but he scored 20 points. Max Christie keeps playing well. They're scrambling. You see some benefits, actually, to them playing with a smaller lineup, where Kyrie kind of had some more space to operate, as opposed to some of the bigger lineups that they're playing. Would love to talk about that, because I think that's an interesting subplot. You notice Kyrie didn't shoot very well in the game Saturday when Anthony Davis was healthy, and then he started shooting a bit better toward the end of that game when Anthony Davis got hurt. I would love to talk about that. I got a story publishing for D Magazine tomorrow that's going to try to talk about how this Mavericks team fits on the court, but instead this organization keeps punching itself in the nuts repeatedly on its own volition, because they're a bunch of babies. They're a bunch of big, fat babies. And it's annoying. It's super annoying. And to make matters worse for Mavericks fans, Luka Doncic making his debut for the Lakers as we speak. Lakers are kicking the crap out of the Utah Jazz, and granted, it's Utah Jazz; they suck. But Luca looks good. This could have been Luca's first game back, by the way. Imagine how much the fan base could have been rallying around Luca returning from his calf injury, getting a big win against a playoff team, and instead we got this. And this sucks. Mavericks play 2 more games before the All Star break. They play Wednesday at home against Golden State. That have Jimmy Butler, so that should be interesting to see the new look Golden State Warriors. They beat the Chicago Bulls in Butler's first game with the Warriors. Then they play the Miami Heat, the now Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat Thursday. That's also a home game, so they don't have to travel before they go to the All-Star break. We'll see. But yeah, it sucks. I want to talk about the basketball, and the org is just refusing to let me do it. Some news and notes before we get out of Dodge because I'm done. I don't want to talk about this anymore because I'm just mad about it. And by the way, this is coming from me, who's not even like Kirk. I'm not even like Fanny. I'm just annoyed at this process. I'm not neutral because obviously I've watched the Mavericks my whole life. I've followed them my whole life. I've covered them for about 13 years as a quasi media member. But like I've told you guys before, I'm not as much of a fan anymore, and I'm still getting mad just because you don't have to be a Mavs fan to get mad about how they're going about their business right now. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Some news and notes before we head out, in case you haven't been paying attention. Of course, check MavsMoneyball.com. We've got all the news stories available up to date. We've been doing a really great job at keeping on track of everything. Yeah, Anthony Davis is going to be out for at least a month, it seems like, multiple weeks with his abductor injury. Sounds like it's more serious than he let on from his interview post game Saturday. The fear now is if they decide that the best path for treatment is surgery, which would most likely end his season. So we're waiting for the Mavericks to announce whether he's going to get surgery or not. They said Mark Stein, NBA insider Mark Stein, reported that they are today was supposed to be the day where they kind of discuss treatment options. Hasn't come out. I assume if it was good news, they would have been scrambling to get that out as soon as possible. So the longer that this is delayed, the longer that you don't hear about it, and that the Mavericks don't give an updated official timetable, which they still haven't. Usually the Mavericks give press releases once they've got a closer timetable for an injury diagnosis. They still haven't done that with Anthony Davis yet. The fact that they haven't said anything about it, the longer that goes, the more I just assume the worst, because if it was good news, they would want to get that out as soon as possible, especially now. They would love to get some good news out there. So there's that. Daniel Gafford gets hurt in this game. Looked like he hyperextended his knee when a player kind of banged into his knee where he had his right knee planted, kind of bent the opposite way. Hopefully there's no structural damage there. I've seen that play happen in basketball a lot, and it hurts and it looks gnarly, but players will come back in like 2 to 3 weeks, which obviously the Mavericks can't really afford because they're not going to have a center. They're not going to have a center for 2 to 3 weeks because Davis is going to play. Lively's not back till April. Gafford was the only real center on the roster, so they're going to have to figure out I would assume Gafford's not playing before the All-Star break. They're going to have to find out how to play these next 2 games for 48 minutes without a real big man, unless they decide to brush off more Kyler Kelly, but I don't think they are. Excuse me. So yeah, that's kind of the news coming out today. And yeah, we will trudge on. And the other news is Kyrie Irving is an all-star. He ironically enough is the injury replacement for Anthony Davis. So Kyrie makes the all-star game, which he probably should have already made before. It was kind of crazy that he got left off with the numbers he was putting up. But he will make it. All's well that ends well. So that's about it. 20 minutes. I can't talk anymore. We love to talk about how fun this game was to watch at times. It was a very entertaining game, but the Mavericks just keep shooting themselves in the foot willingly, by the way. I don't even know if you call it shooting yourselves in the foot like they want to do. Like this, they think this is the right thing to do. And that makes it even all the more embarrassing. So no post-game live show for me. Hopefully Kirk will be feeling better. But honestly, guys, I think Kirk, I'm not a doctor, but I would recommend that Kirk stay off his feet, Mavs work wise, till sometime after the All-Star break. So I would imagine Wednesday against Golden State and Thursday against Miami. I will probably still be doing these solo podcasts. I will push for that because I want Kirk to rest and get healthy. I don't want him to force himself to come back when he's not feeling well. So everyone, you know, good thoughts for Kirk as he's on the mend, and hopefully he'll feel better soon. And we'll be talking to him again. But I'm gonna bounce out. Go to MavsWinningBall.com for all our post-game content. We will surely have a news story about this fan getting kicked out. I think our team is writing on it right now. This is Josh Bowe, Pod Maverick After Dark. You guys take care of yourself, safe, and we will talk to you guys Wednesday after the Golden State game.